having government be able to enter your bedroom, enter your marriage, it's very invasive.
Why would someone be arrested for having sex in their home? And by reading this statute, it makes it sound like being gay is still a crime. And that's false, it's misleading.
What do we want? Trans rights! Why do we want it? Now! When trans people are under attack, what do we do? When trans rights are under attack,
Advocacy groups track those numbers, the only comprehensive data we've found, and cross-reference with bills here at the Texas State Capitol. Some policies passed, including one to prevent some medical treatment for transgender children.
Sometimes we must work hard against something in order to fight for something. SB 14 fights to stop puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and mutilating surgeries.
This bill does the wrong thing.
Let go of me now!
He's not doing anything. He's not resisting.
If you're too loud, they cannot conduct business. If you do not
Hey, that's my friend. That's my friend. Leave him alone. That's my friend. Get your hands off of him.
Another bill that passed would ban books mentioning LGBTQ plus topics in public schools.
Make no mistake, this is censorship and this is book banning.
Sexually explicit content has no place in schools.
And lawmakers passed another bill to prevent some performances opponents worry could include drag shows.
These bills discriminate against people based on sex and not the actual content of performances.
It's ridiculous. Leave the children out of it.
The fact that you would consider this bill proves that you are the threat to the children of Texas.
Thank you for your testimony.
How dare you sit before us and ignore the very real evidence
Thank you for your
that
testimony.
Texans have brought to you.
In testimony and debate, protests, and even legislation, there were references to a piece of history, a controversial measure some say helped spark the latest proposals. A state law created 50 years ago, outlawing homosexual conduct in Texas.
Course materials and instruction must state that homosexual conduct is not an acceptable lifestyle and is a criminal offense under the Penal Code.
Does Texas Values believe that an individual who engages in homosexual conduct is a criminal and should be a criminal under Texas law?
And of course, our position is that that goes against the values of our organization.
Texas enacted its first sodomy law in 1860, banning what was labeled this abominable and detestable crime for anyone. A review of news archives and court reports over the next century show the law was largely used to criminalize behavior between gay men.
After we have heard all the evidence on the Penal Code, the subcommittee then tried to report a bill.
Then in 1973, state leaders overhauled the Penal Code, which holds every criminal law in Texas. And in doing so, they narrowed the sodomy law to only apply to homosexual conduct, Section 21.06, essentially targeting only gay sex.
We've tried to take into consideration the needs of everyone, and I certainly hope that this will go right through the Senate, and I think we'll have one of the best penal codes in the country if it does.
I'd like to object to the inclusion of Section 2106.
Threatens with arrest a large section of the Texas population for living normal lives.
Homosexual women and men whose only crime is in loving
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence.
We'll lay out House Bill 687.
Tell me how you got interested in starting to file legislation that would have repealed 21.06 on the Penal Code.
I actually knew people who were being discriminated against in a number of different ways. There would be times when people wouldn't be able to get jobs and apartment applications. It just seemed like the right thing to do, to take it off the books. It was on its face unfair. For people who are homosexual, this happens on a real regular basis. We had a really, really activist office. Every session I'd carry dozens and dozens and dozens of bills. My first session was 1981.
How long were you in the legislature?
A little over 2 decades. I filed it every session. It repeals the section that makes homosexual sodomy illegal. 2106 is a Class C misdemeanor.
What's the penalty range for a Class C misdemeanor?
If you were in my county, it could be hanging.
Mr. Chisholm,
probably,
do you not
probably
know?
$500 in this county, but that's all right. And they probably would hang you for doing this in my county if they caught you.
Why do you feel like the bill never got to the point where it got a final vote and went to the governor's desk?
It was still very controversial in Texas. Legally, I think it was a bill whose time had not come. Certainly, we brought in very, very effective witnesses, made our case very well. The witness I've asked you to call is Mitchell Katine. He is the attorney in the case that y'all have all heard about.
I am one of the attorneys for John Lawrence and Tyrone Gardner. When I received a call in 1998 asking if I would handle this case, I didn't believe it because I had never heard of anybody being arrested and put in jail for homosexual conduct. But then I got this fax in the mail and I read it.